Sean Davis is a Fulham legend. Born in nearby Clapham and a product of the West London club's academy, Davis was a one-of-our-own-style cult hero, especially after he became the only player to have represented Fulham in all four divisions of English football. Davis got his first kick for the Cottagers in the 1996-97 Third Division, now known as League Two, and featured for them a few years later in the 1998-99 Second Division, now known as League One. It wasn't until the following season that the young midfielder really made his mark on the team, making 26 appearances in the First Division, now known as the Championship, followed by 40 the year after as Fulham were promoted to the Premier League and Davis was voted into the First Division Team of the season. Davis benefited as much as anybody from Fulham's meteoric rise to the English top flight, enjoying 3 full Premier League seasons at Craven Cottage. But the young Englishman felt a greater sense of ambition than loyalty during the latter years of his Fulham spell. After winning the club's Player of the Season award for the 2002-03 campaign as the Cottagers finished a comfortable 14th in the Premier League, he handed in a transfer request to mid-interest from Everton and Middlesbrough. No move materialised that summer due to a knee injury, but a year later Davis' departure finally came when he completed a £3 million move to Tottenham Hotspur. It's a transfer Davis has since admitted his regret at completing. Speaking on the Fulham Fix podcast, Davis expressed regret over leaving the club that gave him the platform to thrive in the Premier League, believing he could have become a one-club man at Craven Cottage. He said, "I went to Everton and I failed a medical with bruising on the knee, came back, and that's when Spurs came in. Steve Finnan had left, Louis Saha had gone, Edwin van der Sar had gone. I'd admit now if I could go back and make the decision, I wouldn't have gone. I know some people say don't live with regrets. I've got loads of them, mate, and that was probably one of them. I wish I would have stayed. I wish I could have been a one-club player, because then maybe I would have gone straight into coaching and probably would still be in football, maybe I would have been an ambassador for Fulham or something." Davis' Tottenham spell didn't go to plan. Midfielder believes he was treated poorly at Spurs. Davis only lasted 18 months at White Hart Lane, making just 16 appearances, and eventually found himself training with the club's youngsters. Speaking about what happened at Spurs to local media in Portsmouth back in 2020, he said, "I was at the point where I wasn't even training with the first team. I was training with reserve coach Clive Allen and the kids, just 5 of us, crossing and shooting with no goalkeeper. Then, someone from the first team got injured, so somebody came across to find one of us to train with them. They picked a kid instead of me, so I kind of knew it was curtains then." Davis also cited problems with his knee, the same issue that had prevented his move to Everton a year prior, and how the club treated him after his daughter was born 10 weeks premature as underlying causes of his Spurs spell going so badly wrong. "One of my problems at Spurs was being injured. I've had trouble with my right knee ever since I joined, which wouldn't allow me to train as hard as I wanted. Yet I was always the type of player who trained the way I played. The other issue was me being stubborn at the time and not agreeing with how I was being treated. When I joined Tottenham, my ex-partner was having a baby and she was premature. I was injured at the time and felt they showed no compassion towards me, which got my back up straight away. My little girl was born 10 weeks premature and they were still making me come in. Davis later went on to win the FA Cup in 2008 as part of Harry Redknapp's famous Portsmouth side that played in the UEFA Cup the following season. The midfielder came on as a substitute in the now legendary 2-2 draw with AC Milan at Fratton Park, which later obliged Ronaldinho to describe Pompei's ground as one of the best atmospheres in world football. Davis eventually left Portsmouth in 2009, at which point a series of serious injuries saw him manage just 4 appearances in 3 years for Bolton Wanderers, as well as 3 on loan at Bristol City, before retiring in 2012 aged 33. It's hard to know exactly how Davis' career would have panned out had he stayed in West London instead of joining Spurs, but there is a chance he could have gone down as one of the greatest players to represent Fulham. Looking at what happened at Craven Cottage between 2004 to 2009, Fulham battled relegation but then unexpectedly qualified for the newly formed Europa League in 2008-09, the same season Davis was facing Rossoneri at Fratton Park. The year after, they reached the final of the competition, where they eventually lost to Atletico Madrid. By that point, Davis was a long-term injury absentee at Bolton. But it's not beyond the question to suggest that with a few different decisions and a bit more luck with injuries, Davis could have gone on to represent the Cottagers in a European Cup final, rounding off an incredible one-club career. Despite leaving on somewhat frosty terms and being yet to realize his ambition of becoming a club ambassador, Davis is still involved with the Cottagers. He's a columnist and a commentator for Fulham, and is remembered as a legend by supporters.